Sexual Asexual. My name is Mag Piper, and I will be your host today. First up, we've got some housekeeping to do. I realized that my Patreon tiers were a little ambitious, so now they're at $1, $3, and $5 levels instead of $5, $10, and $20. Same great perks, just slightly more affordable. I also apologize for any strange noises. I have no clue what the upstairs neighbors are doing. Okay, moving on. In light of current events, we're talking Stonewall today, because we're literally in the middle of another one, and this time it's global. I realize that Stonewall, as a topic, is not about asexuality, but it is about the larger LGBTQIA community and about police brutality, which is still a thing our Black brothers, sisters, and non-binary siblings are experiencing today, and we need to fight it in whatever way we can. I will be including a few links to places you can donate in order to help the protesters in the description. If that makes you mad, take your white tears somewhere else, because I don't have the time to deal with that nonsense. Black Lives Matter, boo, and that's not going to change just because you want it to. So, let's start with the Stonewall Inn, a gay bar/recreational tavern. I'm not entirely sure what a recreational tavern is, but it sounds pretty cool nonetheless. Also, it was run by the Mafia, which is also pretty cool. Fact-wise, I don't condone the Mafia. Anyways, on June 28, 1969, in the early morning hours, a police raid began. These raids were pretty common in the 60s, because homophobia was and still is a thing, and homophobes like making life harder for those of us who aren't homophobic. On a vaguely related side note, why is it that every time I visit my sister, she finds something homophobic to say? Like, I love the woman, but I'm sitting right there, honey. Well, there's a reason I'm not out to my family. Anyways, police raid Stonewall Inn, early morning. The police lost control pretty darn fast, mainly because they were using brute force against people who weren't resisting at all, because that's what cops do when they want to feel powerful. It really just shows how small their dicks are, in my opinion. People from other nearby gay bars and allies not only formed a can-can line in front of the officers, but began throwing trash and coins at the officers. The coins were symbolic of the bribes that the police might take to call off the raids. They didn't stick with coins for long. Soon it was bricks and Molotov cocktails. For those of you who don't know what a Molotov cocktail is, it's a bottle filled with a flammable liquid, in which a piece of cloth or other wick-like object is placed, and then that's lit on fire and the bottle is thrown. When the bottle shatters, the liquid lights on fire, and boom, fire. It's pretty ingenious. The tension between the LGBTQIA+ public and the cops finally broke at Stonewall, leading to several days' worth of uprising. Within a few weeks, the residents of Greenwich Village, in which the Stonewall Inn resided, had organized into activist groups. These groups had the goal of establishing places for the LGBTQIA+ community to be open about their sexual orientation and gender in public, without being afraid of being arrested on trumped-up charges. Two of the most influential individuals in the Stonewall uprising were Marsha P. Johnson and Miss Major Griffin Gracie, both black trans women. Black lives definitely matter. The Stonewall riots literally changed America. A year later, on June 28, 1970, the first ever Pride Parade happened in Greenwich Village, outside the Stonewall Inn. Homophobia was still rampant, but the community decided to stand up and speak out, refusing to suffer in silence any longer. Pride started with a riot. And yet, police brutality is still rampant in our communities. It may not be about homophobia anymore, but it's still a problem. Racism has cut an imposing figure in our country since its inception, and it's time for that to end. We can no longer allow police brutality. We need to say their names. Names like Trayvon Martin, Tony McDade, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and so many others. We need to support the black community in this time of strife and anguish and fear, as they struggle to prove that they do not deserve to be murdered in the streets, while their murderers walk free. We need to condemn those who murder a man for going grocery shopping, those who shoot before asking questions, those who assume anyone who is black is guilty and deserves to die for whatever. We have a responsibility as a community to band together and stand behind the Black Lives Matter movement, to stand with justice and truth and the fact that not all lives matter until Black lives do. There are so many horrible things going on in the world right now. We don't have the time or the patience for racism. My father was a corrections officer. I like to believe that he was infallible, that he would be different from the murderers walking free and in positions of power. Part of me is glad I'll never know, because I'll never be disappointed in him. On that note, I'll go ahead and end my rant. I hope that you all listened this far, despite how political I got. Political and a little bit maudlin. I hope you all are doing well despite the chaos and destruction that is going on in the world right now. 2020 has been something of a disaster year so far. What with the global pandemic, the fires in Australia, the murder hornets. Wait, where did those go, by the way? They kind of just happened and then vanished. Not that I'm complaining. No siree. We are going to make it through this year. I know it's hard, but we can do it. We are stronger than the things the universe throws at us because we are made of star stuff. Thank you all for listening, as always. It really means a lot to me that I belong to such an amazing community. You can find me on Twitter at needspacepod or email me at weneedspace.podcast@gmail.com. My Patreon is patreon.com/needspacepod. The music I use is Mirror Mirror by Diamond Ortiz. This has been Mag Piper, and thank you so very much for tuning in.